I believe we are all destined for more success than we're experiencing. And you're worth it and you can do it. And you are destined for more. And I just would hope that all the listeners would embrace that and believe it.
You're listening to the What the Gut podcast, where busy moms can come for a holistic approach to health and vitality. I'm Allison, your host, a holistic health and wellness coach. In this space, we'll dive into the intricacies of achieving holistic wellness while balancing the demands of daily life as a busy mom. What the Gut is your haven for navigating the challenges that come with juggling numerous tasks while aiming for a healthier, more balanced life. Join me as we uncover practical solutions to common health hurdles, from managing fatigue to understanding all things gut health. Through insightful discussions, actionable insights, and tailored lifestyle strategies, my goal here is to empower you to embrace a vibrant, nourishing life while saying goodbye to being overwhelmed and exhausted. So if you're ready to embark on this transformative journey towards holistic well-being, hit that subscribe button. Get ready to discover the secrets to thriving in motherhood while nurturing your overall wellness. A quick reminder, everything discussed here is for educational and empowering purposes only and is not intended for personalized medical advice. Consult your personal healthcare provider for personalized medical advice. Welcome to What the Gut, where we create our own path to holistic health, one episode at a time. Today on the podcast, I have Jennifer Takagi. And Jennifer helps women discover the power of their purpose by tapping into their truths, their intuition, and trusting themselves so that they can have clarity, confidence, and the ability to create the next level of success that they desire. Hey, Jennifer, I am so happy to have you here today on the podcast. How's it going?
Oh, it's going good. It's kind of a sprinkling day here in Oklahoma City.
Oh, really? Yeah. See, it's sunny here in Mississippi today, which is nice, but not too hot yet, thankfully. Well, for my listeners, Jennifer Takagi is our guest today, and she is in the healing realm and is going to talk to us a little bit more about what she does and how it's a different type of healing modality. So, Jennifer, I would love for you to just take over and tell us what you do exactly.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny. I haven't ever really told this story publicly before, but it just came to mind. So that means that's the story that needs to be shared. Years ago, there was a lot of counseling happening in Oklahoma City, and it was mostly tied to the Oklahoma City bombing. And I do share publicly from time to time that I actually worked in the Murrah Federal Building. And I truly had a message from God to stay home and take care of myself. I was sick, but you don't stay home sick. You go to work, you push through, you do all the things. But this message was just so calm and so clear, stay home, take care of yourself. And it was like, I'll go into work at noon, right? Like, I'm not going to take off the whole day, but I'll take off part of the day. And so after that, fortunately, I did stay home. There were 35 from my office killed, 168 total. And it was a very devastating time. And I worked for the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and they did a great job bringing counselors in. Not all agencies did a good job with that, some of them better than others, but HUD was the largest agency in the building, and they did a really great job. There was a lot of group counseling provided, a lot of trainings, like to get back into the swing of things. So, given the magnitude of the tragedy and it being the first one in American history that we were attacked by a homegrown terrorist, like that was all just kind of a whole separate thing or animal, if you will. And I remember talking to my mom, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I think I would love being a counselor because I think I could really help people." And she goes, "Oh, I think you'd be really good at that. I have a degree in French." Like, I didn't even take a psychology class in college. And she goes, "I think you'd be really good at that." And I said, "Yeah, I could never do it." And she goes, "Well, I think you could." My mom was like the biggest encourager ever. "You can do anything. Like, what do you want to do? You can do anything." And I went, "Yeah, but as a counselor, like, you don't ever get to talk." Like you go and the client talks the whole time or the patient, whatever you want to call them, and then you don't get to talk. And I said, yeah, I was tongue tied when I was born, and then they clipped my tongue at 2, and as my dad would say, and she never shut up. Like once we clipped her tongue, that was it. So fast forward all these years later, when you get into energy healing, you kind of have the stage a little bit. And so you get to talk to people. So it's like the best of both worlds. I actually help people, but I also get to talk. So for me, it was just like a marriage made in heaven. And the point I want to make about that is talk therapy is critical. It's vital. It's very important, but you don't have to. And some people won't go to therapy. They won't seek out help because they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to relive it. I have a friend slash client. She started out a friend and now she's like a long-term client. And she says, I don't want to dig. Don't give me a shovel. Don't make me dig. Don't make me try to remember. I don't want to do any of that. Just make it go away. And with the energy healing work I do, clients can share like what happened or if they remember, it's great. I do listen. I do have that skill and ability. I can listen. But at the same time, if you can just make it go away, how fun is that? Like, just it's gone. And the first modality I got into was Akashic Records. And Akashic Records are the messages on your soul. And you can envision it like a library, but every single volume is only for you. Like nobody else can get in there and pull out a volume for them. It's all you. And think of it like as a snow globe. And as you expand and you learn and you become a bigger, better, greater person, your library of books expands. It's just limitless and it's only limited by our experiences and what we're willing to let in. So that was the first modality. And so if I read somebody's Akashic records, I'm clairaudient, which means I hear messages, which is probably why I heard very distinctly, stay home and take care of yourself on April 19th, 1995. Like that was clear. It was words. I heard it. So when I read people's records, I often don't get a very flowery, beautiful picture. People read mine and they have these beautiful stories and pictures. I'm like, no, you should do blah, blah, blah. I mean, mine's very black and white, very clear cut, but that's kind of my personality too. So our gifts show up in alignment with who we are and how we show up. And so I started learning Akashic records and loved it. Just it's just magical and fun to support people because they already know the answer and I'm just revealing what they already know. It's already in them. There's nothing scary, nothing surprising. It's like bringing out their inner knowing to the surface. And a few months later, I was invited to attend a workshop to learn how to do Holy Fire Reiki, which that's literally moving the energy within you, within your chakras, and to clear the energy that is stuck and help it move and flow. So that was a super fun addition. So I'd read your Akashic records. It can bring up a lot of emotion, and then we can do a little meditative Holy Fire Reiki. It's all fun and good. And then I came in contact with the book, The Emotion Code. And Dr. Bradley Nelson is a retired chiropractor. He's a Christian, and he would say a quick prayer before he went in to work on a client to get centered and to ask for guidance on how to help this patient. And he determined that people have trapped emotions about the size of a fist, and they're trapped in our body, and they stop the flow of oxygen, blood, energy, and it can impact you physically, spiritually, and emotionally. So he came up with this awesome chart. You can actually Google it and find it. And it's the emotion code chart. And he broke the most common emotions into categories and what organ they're trapped on. And so by setting our intention, because we can intend and set the intention and make all kinds of magic happen. By setting our intention to clear that emotion, we can let it go and it's just gone. And that's it. That emotion is gone. It is no longer trapped. Sometimes the same emotion comes up later in other sessions, other conversations. And that's because it got trapped for a different reason, for a different event. And I recently I had a marketing person say, "Oh my gosh, Jennifer, like what you do is like windshield wipers. You go through a big puddle and your whole windshield is covered in mud, and you turn the windshield wipers on, and the first sweep gets some of it. And you get a little bit of clarity, a little bit of relief, and then it washes back the other way and you get a little more and a little more." So I thought, "Oh my gosh, like, she's not even in my world," but that's, like, the best analogy ever. I'm taking it, running with it because it makes so much sense. That emotion was tracked when you were 5, now it's gone. Oh, we've got another emotion at 20. Okay, it's a different event, same emotion. But
Yeah.
once you trap an emotion, your subconscious says, "I know how to feel that.
It
And
hangs
I'm
on to
gonna
it.
find every
Yes.
opportunity to feel it again." So that got me on this whole other additional path of emotion code, body code, belief code. And it's just really helping people get that clarity, the confidence, and clear out all the old cobwebs that we typically don't know we have. So that was a very long answer to a short question.
Yeah, no, I love it. And for those of you listening, I have a session with Jennifer tomorrow. So I'm super excited and I'm going to tune back in and let y'all know how it goes. But I'm just so fascinated by it and different types of healing remedies. How did you exactly get introduced to,
Akashic
like,
records.
yeah, how did you first get introduced to that and think, okay, like I actually want to do this?
Well, my very first introduction, I was at a conference, and every time we had a break, they made everybody leave the room, take all their stuff, and you came back in and you had to pick a new table and sit with new people so you could meet all the various people in the room. It was kind of a cool setup, pain in the butt, dragging your crap around all the time. But it's really good to meet people, right? And so I ended up at a table with a woman and we introduced ourselves. And I immediately got on my phone and looked up her website. And she did Akashic readings. And she had a like an ad popped up or a pop-up on her website. And it was like, until this was in July, and it was like, until July 20th, you can get, a discount. And so it'll only be so much for a session. But we were already past that date, right? She hadn't taken that off her site yet. So I passed her a note and I said, "Well, isn't that tacky? You have a discount, but I can't take advantage because it's already over." And she sent a message back and she goes, "I will honor it for you, Jennifer, of course. Preferential treatment, I'm all about it as long as I'm the one getting it." I was like, "Okay, great. Let's have a session." So in this session, she was just like, sit still, be quiet. I'll tell you what shows up. We were on the telephone, so I couldn't even see her. I didn't really know what was happening, which doesn't matter. You don't need to know what's happening. But she's just giving me all this guidance and advice about my business, and it all made sense. And
And
it was all thanks
you went into this kind of just
God.
knowing what she had told you.
Just blind. No, I didn't even know that. I was just blind. It was as
Okay.
yeah, I just love to say yes. Like I have a goal of saying yes. Sometimes I should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just open to trying new things, met this woman, looked her out. Okay. Okay.
I liked her. She was fun, right?
Yeah.
Everything that she's fun. And so she's telling me all this stuff to do with my business. And I was like, how do you know what I should do with my business? But God, it all makes sense. But wait, what? So fast forward, like we had that session, that was it. It's over. So fast forward a couple years later, it was August of 2020 to be very specific, towards the end of August of 2020. And I received an email, and for those of you who don't know, there's like email campaigns that go out to whole lists of everybody who's, they've got 3,000 emails and they send it to everybody. Well, I wasn't that sophisticated. I didn't realize that I was in the email that she sent to everybody on her list. I thought it was just me. I was in a coaching program and she was one of the support coaches. And I had just recently had a conversation with her. So I just thought she liked me and thought this would be a good thing.
Of course.
I mean, I'm not really that narcissistic, but I didn't understand how all this works, right? You invite everybody and hope some come is kind of how this works. And so I didn't have much going on in my business. It really was not doing what I wanted it to do. Nothing was really coming together for me. And I think it's because I was in the wrong lane. Like I was
So
doing leadership development training
okay. I was gonna
and
say, what was this business that you were doing at the
yeah,
time?
yeah,
Okay.
leadership development training. I'm really good at it. I've done a lot of training for the great state of Oklahoma. I've trained over 10,000 people in various ways, whether it's a workshop or online or speaking at a HR conference, like a lot of ways. But it wasn't falling into place consistently. And, like, when I would do a thing, I would love a thing, but then there wouldn't be another thing, and so it was like a love-hate tug of war of when it was good, it was great, when it wasn't, it was terrible.
Yeah.
So I have nothing to do, right? I have nothing on the books. People are just going back to school. Conferences have already been set for the fall. I got nothing. I got nothing. So I received this email and it was, "Hey, Jennifer, I'm speaking on this 3-day summit. I speak on Tuesday at 2 o'clock Central, but the summit starts Monday morning. So, join some, all, but I'd love you to support me." And I was like, oh my God, she wants me to support her. How awesome.
How
Yeah.
sweet.
Right. I really liked her too. That's amazing. But I had nothing to do. So I sat through all 3 days, right? Because I had nothing. Like I had nothing. So I'm taking lots of notes. A lot of people had some really great talks. These summits are set up in 25-minute segments. And so people dump a lot of great stuff on you in 25 minutes because they got to get their message out there quickly because somebody else is coming on right after them, right? So it's like it's super fun. Now I actually am track host for summits and interview people and I speak on summits. So now it's kind of part of my world. But then it was not. It was like a new thing.
Yeah.
And this woman comes on and she starts sharing her journey as a child of getting messages from above. She's a Christian woman also. She gets messages from above, and her parents thought she was a little bit crazy and squashed her gifts because they thought it was, being a heathen and contrary to church teachings. But these things kept happening, and when she was, like, in her early 20s, she had a near-death experience, and when she came out of that, she knew, "Nope, this is really a thing. This is not just hocus pocus. This is for real," and she began her journey, and she said, "I read Akashic records." I had heard the term before. I had had a session. So, I'm like, "Okay." And she said, "I'll do 10 20-minute sessions for the first 10 people who sign up. Here's the link." Well, I was probably number 1 and getting signed up for this. We had this session. Her name's Deanna Riendo. She is calm. She is beautiful. She just is a delight. And she has this session, and she's, again, the beautiful thing about it is they're just telling you what you already know. It's just like a confidence builder.
Yeah.
And at the end, she said, "I'm doing a training in this was in the fall. I'm doing a training in the spring to learn more about this. Are you interested?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, give me the link." Yes, I say yes.
Yeah.
But I join, and there is a book, and I have it here. I have lots of books. I love books, but it's really a hard title to remember. Not at all. It is called How to Read Akashic Records. And Akashic is Akashic, Akashic, and it's a Sanskrit word. And so she said, "Get the book, read the book, and then we'll start on Wednesday or whatever." And so there was a group of 20 some odd of us going through this process. So she's teaching about spirituality and how there's so much more out there. So I look at religion as my way to come together with other like-minded people to worship God, and my spirituality is my personal relationship with God and the abundance he has out there. So people ask me, how can you be a Christian and this? Well, it's because it's a both and for me. It's not an either or. And I go through this training. It's great. And one of the things we have to do is we have to read each other's records for practice. And so we get to the end of the thing. I loved it. It was just so good. And I'm like, that's fun. I will use that for me. Like, this is just me. I love it. And I was in a paid women's networking group and I dropped in the group. It was very open at the time. Now it's not at all. And I've dropped out, but it was very open at the time. And you could put any offer you wanted in the Facebook thread. And I put, I just received an email stating that I am a certified soul care coach. I didn't know that was a thing, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't know it was a thing. I'm a certified soul care coach. I can read Akashic records. I've opened up my calendar. I have 5 slots. Here are the times. Who wants them? They were all taken up in less than an hour. No matter what I did in the world and leadership development, whether it was paid, whether it was free, whatever it was, if it was me and my business not doing it for like an organization, I never got yeses. And they were all taken immediately. And I had the first session with a gal. This group was very large. There were over 300 in it, and you had individual little pods of like 10 or 12. So I know a lot of people in this program or this networking group. And we have our session, and it's messages, right? I get the messages, I get the information. And at the end, I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if it's on point because I don't know you. I have no idea. It's just what is coming through, what's being channeled through the message that your guides, your spirit team wants to share with you. And we get to the end of the session, and I don't know if it's good or bad. I just, you know, spit it out. And she said, "That was amazing. May I give you a testimonial?" As an entrepreneur, testimonials are manna from heaven. Like, yes, please. So it took a couple more months and multiple readings where everybody was like, wow, that was good. Like, oh, thanks for that. That I got to the point where I thought, I'm going to do this because if somebody comes to me for leadership development, we can do the work within their records. It's a higher level of consciousness and we can get good things. So that kind of started me on this path of incorporating Akashic records and Akashic readings into working with clients.
Yeah, that is so interesting. And it's awesome how God works and shows you, okay, this isn't where you need to be. And you're not getting any bites working in your leadership development role. But then you start pursuing something different and you said yes. And you took that leap. From there, it's just been successful for you.
It's been a lot of fun, a lot of twists and turns, but a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I know that you mentioned you're a woman of faith as well. Were you ever wondering if it was something that was not from a Christian perspective? I'm just wondering if you could speak to that a little bit.
Yes, I was very concerned about really sharing with my friends. I have 2 sisters, my brother's deceased, but I have 2 sisters, nieces and nephews here. And I didn't really wanna tell my family. They don't really know what I do in my business too much anyway. It's not really a secret, but we all have our own lives, right? But when it came to sharing with my friends, it was really hard. And we have a little place at the lake, and all my besties are all there, so we're all together all the time. And for whatever reason, this one day, it was just me and my one bestie from high school. And I said, I don't know how to tell you this, but I want to share with you some of what I'm doing. And I start sharing with her, and she goes, "Oh my God, can you talk to dead people? Because I think that's a great thing." Like, no, I don't want to talk to dead people. Yes, I could learn how to talk to dead people, but no, I don't want to talk to dead people. And she was like, "Oh my God, tell me more. This is great." So, over that summer, a couple of years ago, I started sharing a little bit more with my girlfriends. And one of them, like, literally was like, this is a bunch of BS, right? How much money are these people stealing from you? I was like, it's not stealing if I give it freely to learn how to do these things. But one night she just burst into tears, and a relative of hers had cancer and they were really sick. And could I help them? And I said, well, probably. And I like to say I'm a catalyst for healing, but the people I've worked with are like, no, you're actually a healer. So that's been like a word that's been big to step into. But I do think the work that I do, the practices that I have create alignment and balance so people can heal. And that's one of the big things Dr. Bradley Nelson shares is when we create that alignment physically, emotionally, and spiritually, our bodies can do what they're meant to do, which is heal.
Yeah.
They're supposed to work well. So I was scared to share it. I'm in Oklahoma, Bible Belt state, lots of Christians. My previous hairdresser one day was like, "Why don't you just talk to Jesus?" Well, I do talk to Jesus, sweetie, and he knows what I'm doing, and we're besties. And I was born on a Monday. My first time in church was the next Sunday. I've always believed, I've always known this. That's never been a question. I have a friend who's gay, and he was like, "Yeah, sometimes you just have to kick the door off the hinges when you come out of that closet." And that was kind of like it felt like to me. It was like, okay, I'm just going to kick the doors off the hinges and I'm going to start sharing my message. I rebranded my podcast to bring in the spirituality and all the other work that I do. And, my numbers keep growing. I didn't lose people. I might have added new ones that I wouldn't have had before. So it was kind of scary to step out of the closet and share my gifts, but I wouldn't go back.
Yeah. That's awesome. How does intuition play a part into your work, Jennifer?
I love to teach people to listen to their intuition and pay attention to it because we do have the right answers. And I struggle with it myself. I was just given an opportunity to join a coaching program and I kind of knew it wasn't the right time. I just recently had my knee replaced. I'm doing great, like above and beyond expectations from me, the surgeon, and the physical therapist. But it's still a lot to recover from, right? Your body doesn't just bounce back that quickly. And I do really well. And then it's like, man, I'm done. Like, I'm tired. I am like totally done. As I'm healing, I get this invitation to join a really amazing program with a mentor I'm super aligned with. And I knew I should say no. Like, I knew it wasn't the right time. I even said to the woman making the invitation, I said, I don't know if this is the right time. Like, I have a lot going on and I'm still not at full capacity. And so I reached out to somebody who's in the same group that we've met in person and online several times. And I was like, hey, blah, blah, blah. I just want to touch base on this. And oh, by the way, I don't know if you heard, but I had my knee replaced on March 18th. So, cool. And he messaged back and he said, "This is not the time for you. Do not do it. 100% of your focus should be on healing and recovery to get to 100%. Don't do it." I already knew not to do it, people. I already knew. But sometimes we need a little confirmation. Like, we need to
Yeah.
bounce things off people to confirm what we kind of already know. But I like to share with people, and we can do this exercise now. And if you're not in a car driving, if you're a passenger, that's okay. But if you're driving, don't do this. But if you sit up a little bit straight, not stiff, but straight, you're not like slumped in a chair, ask yourself a question that's true. So I will ask, is my name Jennifer? And when I ask that question, my body sways forward just a little bit. It's not like dramatic, it's just a little bit. Is my name Allison? And I go back just a little bit because I'm not Allison. So your body physically will lean into what's good for it and it will pull back and away from what's not good for it. You can come up with a list of like 20 yes, no questions and you can practice that. I'm going to lean into it and it's a yes, and I'll pull back and it's a no. Initially, you're like, I don't think that's true. I don't think it worked. I don't think I did it right. You just have to practice. And it's like, yes, it's a no. And you learn to trust it more and more. And I knew my answer for this program to join it was a no, but I have FOMO, like through the roof FOMO. I don't want to miss an opportunity. I don't want to miss out. So it's very hard for me to say no. But I knew I needed to say no. And I just needed a little support from somebody who could, give me a
Yeah.
impartial opinion. But that's one easy way to listen to your intuition. I was working with a marketing language person, get the right words in to get your message out kind of thing. And we did half a day Monday, off on Tuesday, half a day Wednesday. And we were trying to incorporate Akashic readings into my leadership development. Like, let's tap into what you really know so you can step into being the greatest leader you can be. I still fully believe that. So we have this session Monday. We're off on Tuesday. Wednesday morning, I woke up and it was like a bolt of lightning from the heavens above. And it was go all in on the spirituality, go all in on Akashic records. The leadership stuff you already know will follow you and it will always be a part of you and what you teach and what you do, but just go. And so we got on the call and he was like, okay, let's go over. And I went, stop, pivot. We're going all in on the Akashic records. We're not going to leave it behind. That was the end of August of 21. And so by the spring of 22, I was already certified in emotion code, body code, and they just now came out with belief code in the end of 2023. And I'm already certified in that in identifying that belief system that is holding you back and keeping you from where you want to go. So it's been, adding on one thing onto the next to get to this journey. But as you experience it, it just makes a world of difference.
Yeah. It's also fascinating to me. And just seeing your background working in leadership and how it plays into your role now. And, just all the experiences kind of coming together. It's very interesting. So, whenever people come to you for healing, I mean, it sounds to me like they could come with just about anything. I'm wondering, what do you see people come to you with the most?
It's very interesting. I kind of ended up in a niche of cat allergies, which is odd. I was at an
I
event.
have a cat allergy.
You
I
do?
do.
I was at an event, and one of the people there at the time was like one of the support team. Dark hair, fair skin, huge, beautiful blue eyes. And so when his eyes turned bright red from this cat allergy and started watering, like he stood out like a sore thumb. And the place where we were staying were like apartments. And the apartment he was in had cats that lived in that apartment, but they weren't there at that moment, but they lived there and they were still in the building running around, a couple of cats. I'm a cat person. I love cats. So I didn't really care. It was like, here, kitty, kitty, come sit on my lap. You're like,
Yeah.
with that. And he's just like pouring tears. And I went up to him at breakfast and he's eating his breakfast and he's got like these 10 women like, do this for me. Help me with this. What about that? Like he's at his limit of the women time. And I sat across from him and he was eating breakfast and he goes, hey, Jennifer, what can I do for you? And I said, well, I just thought I'd clear that cat allergy. And he took a deep breath and he sat down as soon and he said, what do you need me to do? I said, just eat your breakfast and look cute. We'll just do this. And he was like, oh, okay, let's do that. I kid you not, 30 minutes later, he's no longer allergic to cats. He's around cats all the time. He's not allergic. I was at an event and it was in someone's house and it had a basement and the cat was locked in the basement. The first level had been completely clean. They even moved out furniture and brought in furniture from a rental place so they could set up a really nice space for this retreat event. And this gal that I knew online and now I got to meet her in person was super fun, like tears rolling down her face. And she raised her hand and they were like, yeah, what's going on? And she goes, is there a cat in this house? The cat was in the house. She hadn't even seen the cat and she's just pouring. And I passed her a note and I was like, do you want me to take care of that? She knows my work and she just ignored it basically. Let's move on with the day. And we have a break and it's getting ready to start back. And she comes up with her hands open, just like to cup water or something. And she goes, I am here to receive your blessing. I went, girlfriend, what do you want? Like, I don't even know. And she was like, get rid of this. Like, get rid of this. It's like, go sit down. I'll just get rid of that while you go sit down. So she sent me a picture about a month later of her holding a kitten to her face. And she was like, look at me. And so cat allergies are a thing. Eczema. I had a little 7-year-old girl, and then I had a woman in her 40s. The woman in her 40s, it was up her arm, across her neck, up her chest, like it was going up onto her face. And she doesn't have it anymore. It took like 5 sessions to get deep enough. Your subconscious mind will only let go of what won't harm you. So it's a little bit at a time, just like those windshield wipers, right? It takes a little more and a little more. So those are two specific niches. Abundance is a big one. Sometimes it's a physical thing, sometimes it's an emotional thing. If we do a full hour session, we can usually hit multiple areas of your life in one session because it's very quick.
We might need an hour session with me then.
We can start with the 15 minutes, see how you feel, and we can, go from there because
Yeah.
very fast work. It's very fast work. I had a client, she had her hip replaced and she woke up from surgery. She couldn't move her foot and she couldn't lift her leg. And they're like, nothing's wrong with you. You should be able to do that. Well, a couple days later, they did x rays and found out they actually broke her femur in the process of doing the hip replacement. So now it's been almost 2 years and she can't drive. She walks with a cane. She drags her leg. Like it's all hard. So we got to talking. She and her husband go on hiking vacations. And she had commented in the past that they would go on these trips and then they would end up like, I would equate it to like a black diamond ski slope and it's hard. And she wants to be on a bunny slope. And I said, could you be holding yourself back from healing because you don't want to go hiking with your husband? And she goes, yes. So we worked together for a number of months on clearing all these trapped emotions. She was already over 70 at this point. And we were clearing emotion after emotion every 2 or 3 days. We're having another session. And one day, all the emotions that came up, she was like 6 years old, and like three emotions came up. And she goes, nothing happened at 6. I had a great childhood. Nothing happened. And I went, it doesn't really matter that you don't remember. Let's just clear it out and move on. Let's just go. And we did. So when we get on the call for our next session, she says, I know what happened at 6. My father was transferred and I was on a ship from California to Hawaii for 5 days and I was seasick the entire time. So a 6-year-old kid is going to have lots of feelings, lots of emotions, but she had no recollection of them. So I was like, okay, great. Like, I'm glad we know what it is. So this next session, 3 or 4 emotions came up and she was 9 every time. She said, I know exactly what happened and this is what happened and this is why and blah, blah, blah. She knew the whole thing. I was like, all right, let's clear all that out. And we did. And the next day she called me crying, and some clients cry, some don't. She was typically not a crier. And she was in tears and she said, I've forgiven my parents. I said, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Awesome. And she goes, no, you don't understand. That event that happened when I was 9 caused me a lot of trauma over the years. I had lots of counseling. I thought I had forgiven my parents, but now I know I truly have. And so, from this Christian faith point of view, she did all the things to forgive her parents. She knew and knows that they did the best that they could with the information they had, with the time and the culture. Like they did their best. They loved her, they adored her, but it still hurt her because we're born imperfect children to imperfect parents in an imperfect world, and hurts will happen. She had gone through all the process of forgiving them, but the last piece was clearing the emotions attached to the event. And she just truly felt like a new person. Then, shortly after that, I learned the body code, which is creating alignment in your physical, spiritual, and emotional body. And we had our first session, and the piriformis muscle of the hip came up as the only imbalance in her hip. It has now been 2 years since she had surgery to the day we looked up later. She couldn't lift her foot, she couldn't lift her leg. Like, she could drag it, she couldn't lift it. And we did that one session, and I was like, "Lift your leg, I just know you can." And she was like, "Yeah, I can." I was like, "Dang." Next day, I called her and I was like, "I just had this overwhelming feeling that you're gonna be able to walk, that this is gonna be gone, like, you're gonna be able to do it." And she goes, I lifted my foot an inch today. She hadn't lifted her foot in 2 years. So I'm happy to report she now can walk. She can now step up the step to get into her house, into her garage. And she's had the second hip replaced, different surgeon, very different result. And, she's just 73 years old and going like gangbusters, but it just all builds on each other. It totally builds on each other. So it's miraculous. It's amazing. And it is a gift from God. And Dr. Nelson is truly a gifted man for putting all of this together and making it so easy so people can experience it without being re traumatized.
I don't even have words. I'm just like, this is so cool. This is so fascinating. I mean, it's just exciting. Do you have anything else that you would want to leave our listeners with today?
I named my podcast Destined for Success because I believe we are all destined for more success than we're experiencing. And you're worth it and you can do it. And you are destined for more. And I just would hope that all the listeners would embrace that and believe it.
Yes, I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Jennifer. This has been really cool.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being a part of my journey on What the Gut podcast. For a deeper dive into today's topics, head over to allisonandwellness.com/whatthegut or find the detailed show notes linked below. Hey, and don't miss out on future episodes. Hit that subscribe button, and if you love this one, please leave me a review. Let's keep the conversation going over on Instagram. Connect with me and stay updated and engaged with my awesome community. Plus, share these valuable insights with your tribe. They deserve to feel as amazing as you do. You can find me at Allison_and_wellness on Instagram. Your support means the world to me. I'm looking forward to our next awesome chat. But until then, stay curious, don't drink too much coffee, keep the vibrant energy flowing, and take care of your gut. Catch you real soon. Oh, and hey, if you're ready to dive deeper into personalized wellness, check out my one-on-one health coaching program at allisonandwellness.com. Let's make your journey to holistic health truly transformative.